During the week, MTN Nigeria, a leading telecommunications provider, recently released its 2023 financial report. While the report highlights strong growth in subscriber base, data usage, and mobile money adoption, the company also faced significant challenges, experiencing a loss of 137 billion naira, primarily due to foreign exchange losses. This morning, joining me to further review this report and the equities market is Azeez Lawal, MD, Trust Bank Asset Management Limited. Thank you so much for joining us on Business Edge.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me.
Now, one of the catalysts for a surge in the equities market is company news or corporate action. However, recent events have not been so positive. So isn't it looking all too gloomy for investors currently? And is there any light at the end of the tunnel?
Yeah, thank you for that question. And once again, thank you for having me. For an equity market that still tops the world, we are still top 3 in the world as the best performing market year to date, right? So the fact that we have started seeing a bit of price correction around some selected tickers in the industry does not really, in the market, sorry, does not really mean it's all doomed, right? So there's not just lights, very strong lights, and we're very positive the decline that we saw in February will possibly not persist into March as we begin to see company results, full year results, corporate action, dividend announcements, like we saw last week, where Dangote declared 13 naira dividend. Also, Boa Cement also came out with good dividend numbers, and we have also seen, like you reported, NGX performance. They have also declared dividends, so we expect that such corporate announcements will return the market back to positive performance in March. Thank you.
Well, even if we continue to say that we are the top 3, probably in Africa and the world, and we continue to see a drop in the shares and the values, the question would be, for how long can we retain that spot? We quickly take a look at one of the stocks. MTN emerged as the biggest loser in the past week, shedding about 46 naira 80 kobo off its share price. And another big loser was Nestle, shedding about 200 naira during the week. So can we totally attribute this performance to their 2023 financial year results?
Yeah, absolutely. Nestle, for example, these are companies that you call legacy stocks, right? They've been trading in Nigeria since 1961, right? So largely, in fact, primarily, we can attribute that to the unification of the FX, right? So particularly for MTN, the performance and like it widely reported that they made 740 billion naira foreign exchange loss. Actually, it's actually about 834 billion, right? But they also made some gains that kind of reduced reduced it to 740 billion, and like it is reported in the financials, is basically attributed to specifically the unification move of the current administration, right? But again, you can't rule out such losses from companies like MTN, because if you go down into the composition of that loss, right, about 44% of it is from their leasing liabilities, right? So what is common with telecommunication industry in the telecommunication industry is the fact that they are operating towards a they kind of lease them from companies, and typically a lot of these transactions take place at FX at foreign exchange level, right? So significantly, majority of the losses, about 44%, is from lease liabilities, another over 20% from borrowings, then a bit of trade payables and derivative liabilities. So that singularly was what drove the performance of the company year on year into the negative region. Thank you.
Okay, well, in a way to mitigate the impact and try to give a bit of confidence to the investors, we see the telecommunications giant rolling out plans to mitigate its exposure and risk. But the question will always be, do you think that whatever plans they choose to roll out would be enough to bring back investors' confidence as regards the losses and what the future prospects might be?
Yeah, I think that has two questions in one, right? Where whatever plans they have, will it be enough to normalize their bottom line performance? Definitely. Is MTN, right? They have enough structures in place to take care of this kind of risk or loss going forward, right? But as far as investor confidence is concerned, right? So a lot of stocks in the market, really, a lot of stocks. You have banking stocks, you have that are doing very well, right? And they're going to pay very good dividends, right? And then you also have new listings, like the market today is looking forward to another new addition to the list of stocks that we traded on the market. So those kind of listings will definitely boost investor confidence. So the fact that some stocks are declining on the back of poor performance, particularly year-on-year performance, yes, it will affect those particular stocks and uh, possibly weaken investor confidence in the companies in that sector. But generally, the sentiment is still positive in the market and possibly will grow stronger. Thank you.
Well, however we choose to see, we see that it has actually affected the consumer goods sector terribly. And a lot of people are still asking, how will investments be gotten, or how will investors be attracted into the Nigerian environment? And some people are saying that probably the government can come up with some fiscal policy tools to address the situation. Do you think that would be apt at this time?
Yeah, on tools, and thank you for that question. It's quite an interesting one. On tools um, to improve the current situation, particularly addressing effects, right? You mentioned fiscal, which most of the time, right, is going to be long term, right? And we have these legacy issues that not what fiscal can almost address immediately. Right? But we know that from the angle of the CBN, I mean, they've been doing a lot, right? And like the investor call that was held last week, right? We saw that, I mean, they promised investors that they were going to increase rate at the next OMO auction that was held on Friday, right? And they have done that. And from that OMO auction alone, they were able to raise from foreign investor over $500 million, right? Again, I mean, such kind of inflows from foreign portfolio investors would definitely provide liquidity for the CBN to further support or intervene in the FX market to support and strengthen the naira, right? So, so those are moves, those are monetary policies that, and quite a number of other monetary tools that the CBN can call to use to address some of these challenges, particularly FX. But typically for fiscal, definitely is going to be longer term. When you talk about fiscal, for example, addressing FX liquidity, you'd expect a situation whereby our daily production, as far as oil production is concerned, will move significantly, maybe from 1.5 million barrels per day that will be presently maybe to around 1.7, possibly 1.8. But that's going to take a longer term, right? Like we've seen in just 1 week, with the CBN using the OMO tool available to it, it's been able to raise over $500 million in less than a week, right? So we expect that the CBN will continue to use such policies and tools within the disposal of the CBN to arrest the current FX instability. Thank you.
So then what about the shareholders who are actually studying the trend and are sitting on the edge, a bit nervy, looking at how the market is panning out? How do you think they should react? Should they sell off? Should they hold? Or should they buy more?
Yeah, once again, it depends on the stock that you're invested in, right? So it depends on the stock you're invested in. That's what is going to determine, right? But typically, what we advise clients is that when you come to the equity market to invest. I mean, it is called a variable income instrument for a reason, because you really never can tell, too many uncertainties, and that's why it's equity, very risky. So typically, when you invest in any stock, you are investing based on your investment objective, your appetite to absorb risk, and the how long you want to stay invested in such stocks, right? So if and also one of the things we advise is that you diversify. So if you're well diversified and all these investment basics have been considered, really there's really no room for panic, right? Because as some stocks will lose, some will gain. So as there are room, as like some stocks or industries or sectors within that market are kind of they are going to sink your capital, there's also always the opportunity for you to also improve or grow that capital in other sectors if your portfolio is properly diversified, right? So for banking stocks that are paying dividend, for example, if you have such stocks, I mean, it's an old, right? Meanwhile, for some that are challenged, particularly consumer goods, right? Again, depending on your investment objective, risk appetite, or how long you want to stay invested, you may have to sell or even average down your cost by buying more. Again, to take these decisions, you really need to speak to a stockbroker. Thank you so much.
All right, so let me quickly get your reaction on the outlook for 2024, seeing that the twin factors of inflation and naira depreciation have even worsened compared to what we had in 2023. But I know you've spoken more about the tools that are needed, either monetary or physical. But then when we look at it holistically, what do you think the 2024 will portend for the stock markets?
We are still very positive that the stock market is going to perform very strongly this year. Already, we're just a few basis points less than 40% performance yesterday. That's by all standards. That's an excellent performance already. But we expect that this will be sustained. May not necessarily be at the momentum that we saw at the start of January, but we expect that this will be sustained, particularly on the back of, I mean, a lot of the policies, some of the good moves that we've been seeing from the CBN and the federal government. Again, these policies, they take time to settle into the system. So we expect that some of the effects and positive impact of these policies will begin from maybe Q3, right? I mean, as those policies impact the economy positively, the performance of companies will improve, and the confidence of investors in investing in such companies that are listed will also improve, right? We also expect that this tightening regime of the CBN will begin to see the full impact, maybe from Q3 or Q4 also, right? By the time this happens, and we have a sustained pipeline for bringing in foreign portfolio investors, where the naira stabilized over a period of time, and definitely to provide more liquidity, stabilize and strengthen the naira, right, and possibly make things cheaper generally, cost of operations generally for companies. And for looking, the projection is that inflation will possibly close the year, maybe, I mean, the average inflation that we're looking at this year maybe around 21 to 22%. Typically, as an investor, you benchmark your investment target or returns target or projections on the base of forward-looking inflation position, not necessarily current position. So on the back of that, and based on these policies, we expect that, I mean, the equity markets will still close very, very positive and strongly positive this year. Thank you.
Okay, now before I let you go, sorry, Transcorp Power lists on the local bourse today at a share price of 240 naira. Quickly, I'd like to take your thoughts or reactions to this.
Yeah, thank you for that question. Like I mentioned earlier, those are the kind of listings that comes to the market that kind of boost the confidence of investors, regardless of the headwinds and other challenges with some companies and sectors, right? Transcorp Power listing at 240. If you can get it at 240, come on, go get it, right? Because the closest peer of Transcorp Power is Gregu, and Geregu is currently trading above 900, right? And in fact, the capacity of Ugeli, the main asset of Transcorp Power, is significantly more than the capacity of Geregu. So by that, by valuation, it expects that at some point Transcorp should trade. If we just value based on fundamentals, you'd expect that Transcorp Power at some point will trade higher than Geregu, right? That's already trading above 900. So imagine if you can get Transcorp Power 240, right? So it's a strong listing. It's a very positive news for the market, for the economy generally, because it's going to significantly grow the market cap and depth of the equity market. We're very, very happy about it. Trust me. The investing environment in that equity world, we are properly very happy about that. Thank you so much.
Well, maybe we can get more of these stronger listings and stocks into the bourse in the coming days or weeks. We'll find out. Azeez Lawal, MD Banc Asset Management Limited. Thank you so much for talking to us.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. Thank you.